Hello everyone, welcome back to OCD Recovery's YouTube channel. Today I want to talk about depersonalization, also known as derealization. Talk about what it is, maybe where it comes from, how I suffered with this for about 2 years pretty chronically, where it felt like I was looking through almost like a steamy glass window, almost in a solipsism sense, where I felt like I was in a video game before I basically could. So if I was talking to myself right now, I wouldn't just see Nick. I would see this almost like phasey, unrealistic frame on top of reality, and that lasted for about 2 years for me. Not that everyone's going to last 2 years, I'm just using it as an example. So we're going to break down everything about depersonalization and derealization, and then a couple myths about it. So before I go any further, don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, share it, comment down below if this is something that you struggle with or something that you know someone who struggles with. If you're finding this for the first time, it is a symptom of anxiety that we think. We don't really have to understand the origin. It works just primarily like any other symptom about wearing it and bringing the fear down. So when I first started suffering with sensory motor OCD, there wasn't really any depersonalization and derealization present. Now, I was extremely burned out from not sleeping because I suffered with the fear of tinnitus for about 3 or 4 months. Once that fear subsided, that's when I really developed sensory motor OCD, which was my blinking, which then led to saliva, and then led to my swallowing. So that was a pretty tough period in my life. And basically, because of all the symptoms I was experiencing, basically exhaustion, mental and physical exhaustion, I basically started to develop this video game false sense of reality when I was going throughout the world, which really kind of freaked me the fuck out because I was thinking, why am I not able to see things like I did before, right? Why wasn't it like this? Why didn't notice this in the past? The number one thing OCD people say. Now, before I go any further, it is important to highlight that Paul David's book, which is the 5th book on the reading list, At Last a Light by Paul David, is a really good book, probably the best book on the planet for breaking down specifically depersonalization, derealization, and what it is. So what we think depersonalization and derealization is just another symptom of anxiety. In the book, he basically talks about you have these different stages where you go from exhaustion all the way to mental exhaustion, right? Physical exhaustion, mental exhaustion, emotional exhaustion, and your body just can't take it anymore. Your nerves have been so sensitized, as Claire Weeks explains in her book, Self-Help for Your Nerves, which is a really good practical book for learning how to dissociate, not dissociate in the way we think, but create some distance between feeling depersonalized and derealized. For the rest of the video, I'm going to say DP and DR, so I don't have to say depersonalization and derealization. I'm just going to say DP probably. So when this was happening to me, I did everything I could to escape the feelings of DP and DR, which is understandable because it's really scary to feel like you're living in this video game. So when Paul David was breaking this down, I remember reading it thinking, it's like a chapter or maybe half in a chapter. Holy shit, this is exactly what I have going on. It feels like I'm looking through this foggy glass mirror at the rest of the world. Why am I experiencing this? And then he said, which is great, trying to figure out why you're experiencing this is usually a dead end, but realizing that it's not the end of the world and that you can wear that and kind of leave it there, which was important. But obviously we add a little touch onto that with unconditional self-life, other acceptance from the principles of Ellis, that even if you did experience DP and DR for the rest of your life, you still would be able to live a reasonably happy life and not maybe enjoying as many moments as you would like. But that's how life works. So what is the number one thing I want to discuss when it comes to DP and DR? DP and DR needs to be worn like any other symptom with anxiety. So what are the symptoms that we see when you're dealing with an anxiety-based disorder such as OCD, GAD, panic disorder, BDD, PTSD, and so forth? So you have intrusive thoughts, images, sensation, and urges, which also come in automatic fashion, aka rumination. So if you're very, very scared of feeling DP and DR, when you go out, you're more than likely going to really experience DP-DR, especially when you're in a situation such as like a wedding, someone else's marriage, anniversaries, vacations, a very important deadline at work, events that you deem to be more important than others. That's where it's going to come in because, or it could just stay all the time like it did for me to some degree. Yeah, I had moments here and there, maybe an hour or so, but primarily 95% of the day, I felt very in the DP-DR world. And I had to learn how to wear that like an uncomfortable coat whilst I broke down the fear of experiencing DP and DR for the rest of my life. Now, I had just left grad school. and I had just got my first job before I started my own practice, and I started to realize that I was really scared of DP and DR ruining moments between the people I was working with. What if I can't take history properly? What if I can't do that? Blah, blah, blah. The reality is that all comes down to fear of potentially losing your job, the fear of repercussions, the fear of other people making fun of you, the fear of looking incompetent. Once I realized that none of that actually matters, I could be concerned about that, but not over concerned. I could wear DP and DR for the extended time period whilst the fear came down. And that was really, really, really important to realize because I was so scared of it being there and thought that if I experienced this for the rest of my life, then my life would be over. Now, wearing it like anything is part of it, but also bringing down the core fear of experiencing it was also important too. So the belief that if I experience DP and DR for the rest of my life would be ruined, which is very applicable to all types of OCD and anxiety-based symptoms and fear, right? If I experience this for the rest of my life would be ruined. If I can't concentrate, my life would be ruined. The sensation of DP and DR is only a piece of the puzzle. Remember, A plus B equals C. Activating events plus belief systems equal emotional consequence. Developing DP and DR is the activating event. The belief system, I can't stand this, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me, equals the continuation of DP-DR, maybe panic, chronic depression, anxiety, shame, and guilt. So just understanding this alone isn't enough to unlatch DP and DR, but it is enough to give you insight into what is actually going on, because a lot of people fear that they're going crazy and all these other fears that can be associated with all this type of stuff. And I'm not here telling you that you're not going crazy, because you know that's a compulsive reassurance statement. There's no way to prove whether you're going to go crazy or not. I'm just using that as an example for this particular thing. So again, everything we covered so far is really important. Let's do a little bit of recap before we talk about some myths. Is that Paul David's book, At Last a Life on the Reading List, underneath the resource tab at ocdrecovery.com, is what covers DP really, really, really well in the practical application. Learning how to wear it like any other thing, whether it's an intrusive thought, images, sensation, urge, whatever it may be, the feeling of disconnection, the feel of looking through a foggy glass mirror, if there's some solipsism, existential fears built in there, allowing those to play out, feeling that anywhere, at any time, at any important event, whilst you bring the fear down over time, is critical for getting over these type of fears. Now, on the flip side of that, okay, breaking down the fear, like I said, with unconditional self-life, other acceptance. Those are the key points to learning how to actually create distance between DPDR and eventually recovering from DPDR. Now, I want to talk about some of the myths I've seen on YouTube and stuff like that. A lot of people think because DP and DR is such an extreme sense of your nerve being sensitized that you can't have any caffeine. You have to completely avoid alcohol. You have to avoid any type of stimulus type activities. I've heard all sorts of stuff like this. Now, obviously, I'm not talking about alcoholism. I always have to state that. A lot of people who can drink socially, who have never had that, they don't suffer with that genetically. It doesn't run in their family and it doesn't run with them. They'll avoid that based on making their DP worse. Maybe there's some false memory, real event in there, fear of cheating and stuff like that. But that's not what this video is about. But a lot of people talk about that you can't enjoy caffeine because of the fear of creating a worse DPDR. The fear of DP and DR going for the rest of your life is fear of fear. It's one of the aspects of the fear of fear. It is a symptom of extended fear. It's a symptom of extended anxiety. So it classifies as fear of fear. Go back and watch what I just said, because that is really important to cover. A lot of people are always asking me, how do I bring down fear of fear? What is fear of fear? We talk about this a lot. You can go on the YouTube channel and watch all the different videos covering fear of fear and go from there. So, when you drink caffeine, obviously it's classified as a drug and it's a stimulant. That does not mean that drinking caffeine will inhibit your recovery process long term if you're using it in a balanced manner. I have used caffeine in a very unbalanced manner for the very long period of my life, and I still recover from sensory motor OCD. So that goes to show you that it isn't a universal law that you can't drink caffeine when you're trying to recover from DP and DR. So you can do things you want to do in life that are stimulating activities, whether it's jumping out of an airplane, whether it's drinking caffeine, drinking socially. and being able to recover from DPDR. Now, this is a little bit shorter of a video since it's a singular topic and I wanted to cover it. So let's wrap the whole thing up. You can drink socially if that's something you want to avoid, something you enjoy. You can drink caffeine and balance. You can go skydiving, rock climbing, all those fun things. Now, if you like fast cars and all that type of stuff like I do, very stimulating, the dopamine rusher, with the ADHD people, that is completely okay. Moderation is always key. We always talk about moderation. Paul David's book, Outlast a Life, wearing it like an uncomfortable coat and then breaking down the fear of being stuck for the rest of your life. That gives you a good outline about how to wear DP. Get comfortable with DPDR being there for a while. It might linger for a year or two. We have no idea. It might linger for 6 months. Might linger for 6 months. You don't really work on it. It goes away. You think it goes away, then comes back. You never actually worked on the core fear of it being stuck for the rest of your life. So that's very important. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think down below. And yeah, let me know any other topics you want to see because this stuff is really important. As always, it's good for the algorithm too because there's not a lot of content out there that covers DPDR correctly. As always, have a great day.